Well, I thought actually, as I was putting this camera up, I thought I'll just put it on my head and walk around here and show you where we are. The floors here are done. This is my this is our private living room, to be our private living room, but at the moment it's my workshop. And as you see, the problem is the rooms here are finished. We could move into them any time. However, we've got all of this stuff that is, much of it is books. Well, there are a lot of tools in here, of course, but there are also books and things that are going to be going into the library. But the library, as you probably remember, is the one room that isn't finished. And so we're stuck with all of this, these boxes. This is the library, which of course is still in, which needs some work. We'll have bookcases along the walls, and we'll be able to put all of that stuff in here. That won't be any problem. But of course, at the moment, it's impossible. As you see, the ceiling has to be plastered, and Karin has to do that, and she can't do it at the moment, so we're at an impasse. It's not important. However, we are getting a little bit of frustrated feeling by not being able to move into these rooms. Our rooms are finished, and I think I've shown you probably these rooms before. This is our little dressing room with clothes cabinets. These rooms are all finished. Also, these rooms out here are all finished. This is my room again. This is where I just showed you. The bathroom, of course, is done. We use the bathroom. So that's the situation at the moment with that. I'll take you downstairs. I'm having considerable problems walking. I've got some trouble with my hip, and my rheumatoid arthritis is causing me considerable grief. But at the moment, I can live with that all right. Kitchen's a mess. Karin will be disturbed if she knows that I made a video with the kitchen looking like this, but I'll just have to put up with it. This is my little, let's see here. This is my little roaster here, and we're going to turn on the vent hood here. That's why it's here, of course, is because the smoke that roasting coffee creates is a real problem when you're in the house. So I'll plug this in here. So we'll turn it on. It takes about I don't know, maybe 5-10 minutes to warm up. And I've got 225 grams of green coffee here that will roast. I think that's the right, I better weigh that actually. In any case, I'll turn the roaster on, then I'll turn the camera off until it's time to put the beans in. This little roaster does a very good job. Okay, the roaster is heating up now. It's going to take about, it'll take about 7 or 8 minutes to get up to temperature, and then it beeps telling me it's time, and the beans go in then. We have a special funnel here that I put on top, pour the beans in, put the lid back on here, and then it takes approximately 15, well no, I've got it set for 21 minutes to roast the coffee. There's a little window on the end here. I didn't clean it, which I see is probably not such a good idea, but it's not important. We can see the color of the beans, and that's all that really matters. So I'll turn you off for the time being until I get until the roaster gets up to temperature. Then we'll put the beans in, and then I'll turn you off again until it's getting to be time to dump the beans. All right, we've put 225 grams of green coffee beans into the machine, and we've got 20 minutes until it'll be time to eject them. They'll fall into this cooling pan here with a rotating arm that will cool them down immediately after roasting. The roasting process is, I've talked about it in other videos, so I won't go into much detail, but it's very interesting. The green beans, here you can see them. You can see them in the machine here. Slowly turn yellow, and finally then sort of a beige color, and finally brown, and get darker and darker until they have the color we want. There are also auditory signals that tell us when it's time to eject the beans. The first will occur at about 18 minutes. It's called first crack, and the beans begin to pop when the skin or the membrane on the outside pops off. There's a second membrane that pops off after that, and that starts what's called second crack. And at that time one has to be very careful, because that's when it's time to eject the beans. One can let them go a little further. However, there are we don't want the beans to get burned, of course, and it's usually a matter of learning, of experience when exactly to dump them. So I'll shut you off for the moment. We'll come back then in about 15 minutes, when it'll be time to start watching for first crack to occur. Okay, we're about 7 minutes before the end of the roast, and you can see the beans already turning nice beige color. They'll be, maybe I get a little more light on. Anyway, I guess you can get an idea of the color of the beans there. First crack is just beginning. I can just hear it. There are 3 minutes left about in the roast. And if you look closely, I think you can see the smoke, actually probably from the other side of the roaster, with the light on it here. Yeah, so you can see there you can see the smoke. There are copious amounts of smoke. People say, oh, it must smell wonderful when you're roasting coffee. Well, in fact, it doesn't smell wonderful. It smells smoky. It smells like burning chocolate. The aroma of coffee comes when you grind the beans. So that's first crack. It says 2 minutes are left, but I don't think we're going to be able to keep it going that long. The beans are already getting to the point. You could actually already dump them and use them the way they are. However, for espresso, I prefer them a little bit darker than this. And we only drink espresso drinks, so I'll let them go a little further. We'll let them go right into second crack and then we'll dump them. You can now start to see the smoke, I think, quite clearly here. It says 1 minute, 22 seconds. I guess you can see the display here. First crack is slowing down now. There's usually a short pause before second crack begins. The fan is working much harder now, blowing much more air through to keep the temperature constant. Because at this time the beans start producing their own heat as they basically begin to burn. Actually, not the beans themselves, but the chaff. So there's second crack beginning. The beeping is the roaster telling me that it's time to dump the beans, and I'm going to do that now. So I press eject down here, and we'll watch here. The beans come out. I like the color, it's very good. It's just about the way I like to have it. And from the smell of the smoke, I know that they are just about the way I like them. So now this will cool the beans down. It'll cool the machine down too, of course, and it'll cool the beans down. In about 5 minutes. Then we'll store the beans for 2 days to let them gas out, as we say. They're full of carbon dioxide gas at the moment, and that needs to escape. It wouldn't be important if we were grinding them and making drip coffee, filter coffee, but for espresso it's important because the carbon dioxide in the beans makes the espresso drink rather acidic. So there you are. That's coffee roasting with the hot top. This is the oldest model hot top roaster. It's very manual. The new ones have computers that control the roast. I quite truthfully, prefer the manual machine anyway. Hope you enjoyed seeing this. I'd like to share a cup of coffee with you, of course. If you ever would like to have a good cup of coffee, drop in. Wherever you are, just grab the next flight to Frankfurt. And it's only an hour, we're only an hour north of Frankfurt. Thanks for watching.